Today I have something truly special for you guys. The team over at Tobii, which is a company in Sweden, you may have heard of them, kindly sent me a product that I'm sure a few of you may have heard of before. The Tobii Eye Tracker 5, of which I'll be using in Microsoft Flight Sim today. Now, one thing I would like to point out before I start out this video is that it is a sponsored video. Tobii has provided a free product of which I'll be showcasing today, but at the end of the day it's still my own opinion, and this video has not been edited by them. In fact, the final cut has only been sent to them a few hours before this video was released, and I haven't had time to swap it around. So it is indeed my own opinion. But it is my first sponsorship video, and I've had numerous offers. I've just been waiting for the right product to showcase off to you guys, and I think I've found it. It really is awesome. Stick around in this video to find a secret code which I'll be showing for about a second and a half in today's video, for you to be into a chance to enter that code on their hashtag Explore the World sweepstake, and you can be in a chance to win some awesome Flight Sim prizes, such as, I believe we've got some Thrustmaster controls up for grabs, and indeed some Flight Sim add-ons and copies of Microsoft Flight Sim. I'll probably put a full list on the screen. And even if you don't want to win some prizes, stick around to use the link in the description. If you like what I see, you'll be able to get 15% off the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. That's an exclusive discount, an exclusive Pilot Stud channel discount, only available through the link down below. But without further delay, let's get right into taking a look at the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. Now, you would have got a good feel for what the product is by the footage I've been sharing with you on the screen already. It's a really awesome product. Let's start with the purpose. Many of you will be familiar with the likes of Track IR. It's close to this. It's a similar system, but as opposed to tracking a little dongle on a hat, or indeed a web camera tracking other kind of sensors, this little device tracks your eyes. Now, I'm opening it on the video behind you. It's a really nice box, but you'll come to see it. It's not a web camera, although it does have a camera built in. It's not one. It's got IR sensors, part of it as well. Anyway, it tracks your eyes as well as your head movement, allowing you to move around in a similar manner on your simulator or indeed game. This adds plenty of realism, as you'll see in today's video, and it improves your experience in a natural manner. I have to say, I've been trying it out for 2 weeks, and yes, I can definitely double down on that. It is a really nice bit of kit, but you are paying for it. I did say there, you can also use it on other games, plenty of games on there. You can see just here on the Tobii Experience app. I know I've got Microsoft Flight Sim in the background, but all these games work with Tobii Eye Tracker 5. You know, we've got stuff like Bus Simulator 21, Bus Simulator 2018. Of course, if you like buses, I don't. I can't think of anything more boring. There you got your thing there. But you can see plenty of games, some of which I've heard of, some of which I have not heard of, some of which quite interesting to see how they incorporate the Eye Tracker 5. But alas, just look at all the support you've got for these games here. You know, it just feels very well done and very well crafted. Let's get back to the unboxing video in the background. Now, where was I? Opening the box, it felt premium, it felt good, and that's because it is premium. But it's coming in at, wait for it, £229. That premium feel comes at a cost, to the point where it does cut off many people to this product. That has to be the first drawback. You know, it is quite pricey, but I'd say it's pretty worth it. You know, it is a unique experience. But alas, that's a lot of money. It's its first drawback. For £250 you could get a decent CPU upgrade to improve your Flight Sim experience, or put it towards a good GPU upgrade. And that's why, as I'll say at the end of the video, this is not a product for low spec systems. I recommend, if you have got a low spec system, you save up a bit of money and put it towards upgrading your setup in terms of PC components, as opposed to the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. But of course, everything has its place, and the Eye Tracker 5 certainly fits into the mid-range to high-range PC market, because at that point you can enhance your experience and you don't necessarily need to worry about stuff like that, if that makes sense. Once we get the item all opened from its very sleek, very modern feeling box, you can see we get a bit of equipment with it. We get the initial lead, which comes from the eye tracker, which is about 1 meter long, and then we've got an extension lead as well, which I believe comes in at 2 meters. I might need to correct that because I put it in my system about 2 weeks ago now. I'm voicing over just afterwards, so yes, I'm relying on my pretty poor memory here. But you don't just get that, you also get your Velcro bits, which is super strong. I mean, I'm looking at it now, it's stuck to the bottom of my monitor, it's still there and it has not moved. I was quite worried about the Velcro initially, but this stuff is like military grade, I swear. It's not overtly sticky, that it kind of makes a sticky residue all around it. You know, it just sticks there, it holds there, and that allows you to take off the Tobii eye tracker when you don't want it to be there. Of course, you are left with the Velcro pads, but that's a given. You also get a few more magnetic strips, which allows you to angle your Tobii eye tracker if you've got something in the way, so it can point towards your face more. That was certainly a big help with me, with my yoke there, which is a worry I'll talk about later that was swiftly overcome with what's in the box. The extension lead is certainly a must-have for most people's flight sim setup, so I'm glad that was, of course, included. And the magnetic strips, which I'll actually show you now because I've got one spare. Using the Magic of Cinema, I can show you one of these. So this is the magnetic strip. As you saw from the installation video, which I've been playing behind, you basically kind of just peel this white bit off here, the sticky white bit here, and then just clip it on, and it fits so well. It is really seamless. Let's go back to the setup video. So smoothly moving on to setup, this is definitely a plus of the product. It was seamless. Once I had it unwrapped, it was a case of putting the USB into my computer, before that maybe connecting the extension cable, of which I did, installing the Velcro pads on the bottom of my monitor, and they're super strong as I said. Adding a magnetic strip so I could tilt it up over my yoke to allow for the Tobii eye tracker to make sure it's getting my whole face and my eyes. And aside from that, it was mostly plug and play, and it was really satisfying to set up. And just look at it. Let's zoom in closer to the Tobii eye tracker. It is secure, you know, it's not moving anywhere, but it can be moved if you don't want it there. Certainly less intrusive than a web camera, of which one is sitting on my monitor right now. It was just so well made. You can feel it, it's sturdy, it's got a nice metal finish, and most of it is made out of metal to add on to that, minus a few plastic rims. Now I'll show you the setup video. I set this up with the Tobii Experience app, which you can download, and it shocked me. You know, initially it kind of did this thing on the screen, which is fairly similar to the Tobii bubble. It puts a little blob on the screen and asks you to look up to it. It then tracks your eyes, and it was so surreal. Just listen to my reaction. Let's calibrate for your eyes now. Look at each dot. This is weird, I tell you. The software and hardware go really well together. I haven't experienced any issues here. Now we've got the setup out of the way, let's get to the sim. Also, keep an eye out here. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Sim, a place I find myself spending a lot of my time nowadays. We are going to head over into options, and hopefully the Tobii eye tracker will be recognised because we installed the driver correctly. You'll hop along here. And hey presto, here we've got Tobii. I realise my camera's in the way, so let me use a bit of magic to move myself over to the left of the screen. Of course, a bit of a live blooper there, but you know, I'll go ahead with it. So, watch this. Look at that, there we go. So we've got the Tobii over in the corner. Now I have actually got a profile set up, but I'll be showing you standard so far. This is what Tobii bring in-house. Take a look at sensitivity, it's pretty good. So eye versus head tracking ratio, eye tracking responsiveness, so how much you have to move your eyes like this for the kind of system to pick you up. You've also got head tracking sensitivity in terms of pitch and yaw. You can tilt your head as well. Center stabilization, which on my setup I actually moved up to around 0.50. head tracking roll, and head tracking sensitivity position, as well as also center down here. For the most part, you're going to want to leave them alone because Tobii in-house do a pretty good job. But let me show you how it works. Now, I've had plenty of experience with the eye tracker with Sim Update 7 before the previous update, with Sim Update 8 Beta, and now Sim Update 8. I can tell you it's worked the best with Sim Update 8, so if you haven't upgraded your system and you've got the Tobii eye tracker, I recommend you do. Now with that, we have what they call 6 degrees of freedom, as opposed to the previous, I believe it was 3 degrees of freedom, which is what we had with Sim Update 7. If I'm confusing you with all this freedom, basically it's kind of the way you can move your head around, as opposed to just go left to right. The 6 degrees of freedom allow you to move backwards and forwards somewhat. I believe that's the main difference, as well as of course tilting it like that. Tilting it like that was already okay, but now there's just a lot more movement. That's the new upgrade with Sim Update 8. So while we're loading up, some of you guys might be quite undecided. What sets this apart from the kind of other industry alternatives such as Track IR or even no Track IR, which uses a web camera? Well, it's more responsive, I've got to be honest. It's not perfect, as I'll establish at the end of this video, but it's still pretty good, to the point where it certainly ousts all other alternatives that I've tried. It's nowhere near the level of VR, but it's not trying to replicate that, but it's still a very similar experience to VR without having to put on the headset. You'll see it when we're on the ground. Track IR can't track your eyes, so if I look to the left, you'll see, look at that. There we go, look to the right. You get a good feel for it already. It looks weird looking up, looking down, left. It never gets old, it really doesn't. You can move your head to the left, like that, you can kind of see that there, and to the right to bring yourself over to the other side of the cockpit. I know I look a bit funky, but to be honest, you're only going to be doing subtle movement, and you can change it in sensitivity settings as well. Now, it's hard to talk to a camera while doing this, that's why I'm looking all over the place, because I've literally got to stare straight forward. But if I want to turn it off, all you need to do is come up into camera, and just like that, click Track IR off. And you notice that I move forward a bit. That's just because I'm offset with my seat. So if I were to move right up close, then that would be mitigated. The only way to sort that out is just to go settings, and I believe it's to change head position, and that should move you forward or sort out the sensitivity. But let's turn it back on now, because that was a pretty realistic position anyway. Looking up. So the way you can move it is of course to the left, to the right, tilt it as well like that, that's cool. And of course with Sim Update 8 you can move your head backwards, forwards, left and right properly with your head. So there's your 6 degrees of freedom. And now let's the fun begin. So I do apologise, at times it looks more laggy than it is on the actual sim. That's just how it kind of works, because my head's moving a bit, my head's naturally glittering. It's going to look a bit glittery, but alas, let's go. It really doesn't get old. A bit sensitive on the rudder pedals there. That's the new Sim Update 8 dynamics messing with me. Come on, sort yourself out. Whee. Come on. Hey. Right, there we go. Right, okay, we got a bit of a headwind there, but there we go. We're up in the air. Let's look to the left. See the windsock. Bit of a crosswind even. Look to the right. And just look at that. It is such a realistic experience. My web camera does cause a bit of lag with Microsoft Flight Sim. When it's on, I do apologise for that. But of course, you've seen plenty of footage of the kind of application and the hardware in action so far. Let's look up. With the aerobat, you've of course got the windows above you. And indeed, or maybe not down. Maybe that's a different aircraft. Now I can move my head up a bit if I sit up properly. That can also be changed in sensitivity, as I've also said about position sensitivity. I don't like to have it all over the shot because then it kind of feels unnatural, but it feels very good at the moment. It looks very nice. Let's come in for a landing. I'll see you guys on landing. So welcome to our approach into a rather windy, rather wet Norwich Airport here in East Anglia. Now we're pretty high, I'll admit, but notice how high the camera is as well. That's because I've actually raised my chair up, and because it tracks my head, it's moved my head up, which is pretty cool. That should be a fairly decent landing here. Head's moving around quite a bit at the moment as I look at the runway. But we'll slow down as of course you move slower, because your eyes are going to be moving slower. You're not going to be looking all around like that. But just look at the rainwater. And you know, I'm not moving my head like I would have to with Track IR. I'm basically just moving my eyes. If I can kind of circle my eyes like that, you can kind of see I can kind of make a circle like that. If I roll my eyes, it rolls on the screen. I'm still getting used to the awesome new sim update 8 flight dynamics. It's pretty nice, not perfect, but it's still pretty cool. And once we're on the ground, I think what we'll do is we'll head over to a slightly busier airport and we'll kind of have a look around inside a A320. Just start it up and maybe a bit of a takeoff. Should be a fairly decent landing. Light adjustments on the yoke. If you like the product, if you like what you see, if you like the sleek modern feel of it, if you like what it adds to the simulator and you're happy paying that price, or if you want to save some money, then of course you can use my 15% off link in the description. That saves a considerable chunk when you think about it. If you don't like it, also leave your thoughts down below because I am curious. I know it's quite popular among other gamers, but it's quite the commitment to be making. It's perfect for low and slow flight now, like now. Not my best landing, but it'll do. It'll do. I'm happy with that. Sweet. So there you go. You've got a good feel for the Tobii eye tracker on takeoff and landing. Let's come to a stop now, so I'm not all looking around like a headless chicken. But you know, you get a good feel for it. I am having full control over my eye movements and it works really well. I'm really impressed. Of course, I've been using it for 2 weeks. I've used it to film various videos, like one of the ones I would have shown you at the start. It really is perfect. Shaking my head probably isn't the best thing to do when you can do that. Now let's talk about performance because that's important. I'm going to turn off the eye tracker just so I can talk to you about it. Now with performance, I'd be lying if I said it improves performance. It certainly doesn't. It will take a bit of a toll. If you've got a low spec system, then I have to say I don't recommend it. Just because I recommend you invest your money into your system to upgrade it to get a better Microsoft Flight Sim experience. You might be able to try it with kind of low and slow VFR flying and you might find it works at a decent rate. But I've got to be honest, if that was me, I'd be upgrading my system. Mid-spec PC to high-spec PC, yeah, this is your thing to go to. If you don't like Track IR, if you don't like VR, then this is a perfect thing to go for. It is so responsive and works so well, and doesn't hit performance in a manner that makes it unplayable. Before I reach my final conclusion, and indeed show you a few other things, let's head over to take a look at the A320 on the ground. I'll see you guys there. Okay, so I've taken away my webcam, and I'm just going to turn this off for the moment. I've popped over to Microsoft Flight Sim in the A320 at Bristol Airport to show you Tobii Ghost and have a takeoff here in the A320 to kind of give you an overall comparison. Anyway, so this is Tobii Ghost, and this is a more of a content creator software that allows me to show you where I'm looking. You can embed it into your streaming software. I'm not going to do that, I'm going to use the preview version, or you can do it on Twitch, and that allows your viewers to customise it. I know this doesn't apply to most of you, but it's quite cool for me to show you anyway. I'm going to come into bubble, not heat map. Heat map can kind of fill up your screen quite quickly. It's going to show you where I'm looking, so I'm looking at this on at the moment, I'm looking at that on, I'm looking at Tobii Ghost, preview, customise appearance, moving down to the colours, looking up and down there. It's just showing you where I'm looking. It's very cool and works very well. Of course, if I pop into Microsoft Flight Sim, well, I haven't got Track IR enabled at the moment in the simulator. You can see if I look at the clock down there, or the autopilot panel up there, or the runway markings out there, or the PAPI lights over there, or the PFD down there, it's following that. That's cool. Let's turn Ghost off now. As cool as it is, I don't think it applies to most of you. You do get the software included, but unless you want to show off to your friends how cool it is, most of you aren't going to be streaming. So as cool as it is, that's more of a content creator thing. Now we're back in Microsoft Flight Sim. I'm just going to change the weather so you guys can actually see. You'll get a bit of lag for me doing this because, you know, it's just changing the weather. Come off live weather. Beautiful. Look at this. You can see there's a bit of lag, but Bristol is a big airport and my system isn't the biggest, so you can kind of understand it. Now if I look down at the centre pedestal, towards the frontal quadrant, towards the back of the centre pedestal, let me get my camera up so you guys can see what I am looking up. You guys can see wherever I look, wherever I move my head, even just slightly, it reflects it. The sensitivity of course can be adjusted, and if I move my seat up or down, that's reflected. I don't know how far I can move back. Let's see, until I'm out of range. Probably quite far, there we go. That's probably about as far as I'm going. There we go, I feel comfortable now. Let's get taken off. We'll then put autopilot on and I'll talk about my thoughts on this product. Parking brake off. Now a bit of the head shake will be coming from other add-ons I've got, but because I'm a human and my head does move, you are going to get some sort of shaking here. If I look at the end of the runway, let's go Toga now. What a beautiful airport by Pilot Plus. There we go, we could have pulled back ages ago. We're up. Let's take a look outside. Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks really good, doesn't it, folks? Of course, that was not the most orthodox of takeoffs. It was quite an unorthodox one. But just look around, guys. Flying out of the airport. It gets a bit of lag because my system isn't the best. And that's what I said. You know, for mid-spec systems, you are still going to get a bit of lag. But this does a pretty good job, I can't lie. And we're speeding. We're speeding. It just works. It just works. And for an unintrusive tracker, it does a great job. Let's pop autopilot on now. Now, you could just move your head forward if you've got sensitivity set up and do it like that. But I can't lie. I prefer to have it kind of just done with the mouse still zoom in. It's going to be quite awkward for me to twist it all around. But if you hold your head steady enough, you'll get there eventually. If you've got an autopilot panel like I do actually have, this would of course be much easier. But I've just got to keep staring at his central knob and that will get me there eventually. Certainly much more easy to hold stable than the likes of Track IR. Still not perfect though. And we'll pop, oops. And we'll pop auto throttle on as well. There we go. Aircraft sorting itself out now as we fly through these beautiful clouds. So as we come over Bristol, just look how realistic this looks. It does look really nice. And it doesn't feel as lucky as it is for you guys. I'm going to turn off the Tobii eye tracker now, just so you guys can see. Now this is one thing I'd like to see sorted in a future update, changing this to maybe Tobii, because it is not a Track IR device, it's the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. So that needs to be upgraded, but I guess that's an Asobo issue. What do I think of it? I think it's a very capable bit of kit. There's certainly some bugs that need to be addressed, that's one of them, but aside from that, it's really well made. Sim Update 8 has improved it massively. Being able to move your head outside of the cockpit is really nice, it's really cool, it's really fun. Of course, if you've got your window open, you can kind of clip through it, but that's aside from that point. Now, what would I give it? Well, initially I'd give it a bulk score of 8 out of 10. It's a great product, but it's expensive. You're paying the price for it. That's where it loses 1 point. The other point is lost because there is a few bugs. Much like Microsoft Flight Sim, it's not a seamless experience. There's been a few occasions where I've had to restart Microsoft Flight Sim just to make sure it's recognised. But once it's working, it really works. And I have to say, I haven't had that issue too much anyway. I really do like it. Bear that in mind. If you've got a low spec system, put your money elsewhere. This is not for you. But if you've got a mid spec system like me and just look out the window, it looks awesome, then I do recommend this. The impact on performance is certainly mitigated by the absolute awesome fun you can have with this product, and the fact you can turn it off as easy as just going into camera options certainly wins there. I would say it offers a feeling pretty close to VR without having to wear a headset. Now of course it's not VR, nor is it trying to offer that, but you know, it's not too far off. It's certainly a good substitute and you're not paying the price either. Simply put, I do love it. It's great fun, it's perfect for VFR flying and flying like this, low and slow. It's got a great interface in terms of user experience and a good design. It looks slick, it feels slick, it is slick. Drawback, it's quite expensive. £229 is a lot of money they're asking for. Maybe as time goes on they'll be able to reduce the price, but if you want to get 15% off, you know what to do. And as I've already said, low spec systems will struggle. That's just part and parcel of Microsoft Flight Sim, I'm afraid. If you've successfully found the sweepstake code, I've put the sweepstake link in the description, as well as of course the product link for this video. Use that link, the product link, to get 15% off. No other link will work. It should be automatically applied once you get to checkout. It works really well. It's a great bit of kit, and it works so well with Microsoft Flight Sim. They've clearly spent some time making sure it all works. And I have to say, the Tobii team clearly aren't, you know, all Microsoft Flight Sim pilots, but they've done it in a way where you can see they've actually had to sit down with the simulator. It hasn't just been a port over in terms of the code. From me today, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I do apologise, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment. I want to leave you with a little bit of a teaser video, because of course this video was a sponsorship. But I'm sure you guys have reached your own conclusion. Last thing I want to do before that is thank my first class channel members. You guys really have helped me out. You're going to shout out on the screen. From me today, have a great day. Bye bye.